The frost found the cattle gate before the mail truck ever turned onto Willow Creek Road. It silvered every hinge on the old hay barn, except one. On the east door, where a bright orange inspection tag had been zip-tied through the latch, the frost had melted into a wet little ring. Elias Mercer stood on the porch with his coffee cooling in both hands and looked at that ring for nearly a full minute. Not because it scared him, because he had learned a long time ago that small things usually tell the truth first. The letter came after lunch. By then, Eli had already fed the calves, checked the water line, and walked the barn twice without opening the east door. He had left the tag hanging where it was. New plastic, new zip tie, no mud on the latch, no boot prints in the thawed strip under the overhang. A stranger had marked his barn as dangerous without leaving the kind of tracks a man leaves when he actually goes inside. That was the first thing the bank got wrong. The second thing was the number, $13,850. The letter from Corn Belt Community Bank called it a collateral preservation reserve. It said the hay barn on Eli Mercer's farm had been reassessed as an immediate structural risk by a certified agricultural inspection vendor. The reserve was due within 75 days, payable into escrow, with penalties if unpaid. Eli read the page once at the kitchen table. Then he read it again. Then he turned the envelope over, checked the postmark, and laid the whole thing beside a red spiral notebook that had not left that kitchen since 1998. Eli Mercer was 61 years old, a retired Army combat engineer, and the owner of 193 acres outside Walnut, Iowa. The farm had been in his family long enough that the road still carried his mother's maiden name on county maps. His left hip did not bend right anymore. His right hand shook a little when the weather changed. But he could still look down a line of posts and tell which one had moved. That hay barn had been built by his grandfather in 1968, framed in white oak and hickory, roofed in ribbed tin, and lifted just high enough for loose hay wagons to back into the center bay. Eli had changed it over the years. He added steel tie rods in 2006 after a March windstorm. He poured new footings under the south posts in 2014. He patched the east roof slope in 2020 with panels he bought at an estate sale and stored behind the machine shed for 6 months because he did not like rushing work that had to hold weight. He had proof for all of it. Not digital proof, not cloud proof, notebook proof. Every Sunday night after supper, he wrote down what had been fixed, what had broken, what had been paid, what had come in, and what still needed doing. Rainfall, fuel, feed, seed, parts, repairs. The handwriting changed after the hip surgery. The habit did not, because paper could lie when someone else wrote it. But paper could also protect you when you had written it before you knew you would need it. Corn Belt Community Bank had carried Eli's mortgage for 17 years. He had refinanced once when corn dipped hard. Once when he switched part of the place into hay and feeder calves. He had never missed a payment, not one. So the next morning he put on a clean shirt, folded the letter into his coat pocket, and drove 18 miles into town. The loan officer's name was Marcy Lane. She was kind in the practiced way people are kind when the computer has already decided. She looked at the screen more than she looked at Eli. She said the assessment came from Summit Rural Risk Services, a regional vendor the bank used across farm loans. She said the bank did not control the inspection formula. She said she understood his frustration. Eli noticed that word, frustration. Not error, not dispute, not proof, frustration. He asked for the inspection report. Marcy said the full scoring method was proprietary. He asked whether the inspector had entered the barn. She said she could not verify field procedure from the branch level. He asked who signed the report. She printed a summary sheet, highlighted a vendor certificate number, and slid it across the desk like that was the end of the matter. It was not. It was only the first loose nail, By the first week of May, Eli had sent 2 written requests to the bank, one regular, one certified. The reply came back on a form letter with his name misspelled once, and the word risk used 7 times. He drove to the county assessor's office. The file still showed the hay barn as serviceable farm outbuilding, condition unchanged since 2019. He called his insurance agent. No new claim history, no flagged loss. He asked the farm co-op whether anyone else had seen orange tags on outbuildings. 3 men had. 2 had paid. One was trying to borrow against a combine to cover his surcharge before the penalty hit. Nolan Greer, who farmed the bottom ground east of Eli, had paid $9,200 the year before on a machine shed assessment he still did not understand. "They don't put those numbers in pencil," Nolan told him at the fence one evening. "They put them in ink so men like us get tired." Eli did not answer right away. He was watching the calves in the lot. For 3 days, they had refused to nose through the east doorway, not because the barn was failing, but because the orange tag clicked against the latch whenever the wind came up. Tick, tick, tick. A small sound, a new sound, an official sound, the kind of sound that makes even animals trust the wrong thing for a while. That Sunday, Eli took a flashlight, a plumb bob, a chalk line, and the red notebook into the loft. He measured the posts. He checked the tie rods. He marked the footing cracks that had been there for 12 years and had not widened. He wrote down numbers until his hip burned, and the flashlight beam started shaking in his hand. Nolan found him up there just before dark. "What are you doing?" Eli kept the tape stretched between 2 rafters. "Seeing if my barn knows it's dying." Nolan gave a short laugh. Then he looked around the loft and stopped laughing, because there was nothing dramatic up there. No sagging roof, no split beam, no fresh lean. Just old timber doing what old timber does when somebody has taken care of it. Holding. The real break came 2 weeks later. Not in the barn, but in the back office of the county service center. Eli had gone in to update a map for a watershed cost share application. He needed the parcel boundary corrected where the creek had cut a new bank. A clerk named Janice was copying his permit file when she noticed the vendor certificate number printed on the bank's summary sheet. She frowned at it. Not a big frown. Just the kind a person makes when a number is sitting in the wrong chair. "That doesn't look like a structural inspector certificate," she said. Eli asked what it looked like. Janice typed for a while. The old printer clicked and warmed up. Then she handed him a page from the state registry. Summit Rural Risk Services had held a farm structure inspection certificate until December 2022. It had not been renewed. Its bond had been canceled the following February. And the address on file was not an office. It was a mailbox inside a pack and ship store outside Des Moines. Eli stood there with the paper in his hand. The whole room seemed to go quiet around the fluorescent lights. The bank had put almost $14, zeros of weight on a certificate that no longer carried any. He thanked Janice, paid for the certified copies, and drove home without turning on the radio. That night he did not celebrate. He did not call Nolan. He did not march back into the branch. He sharpened a pencil. He opened the red notebook. And he started building the part of the barn that paper had tried to knock down. The record. He requested Summit's licensing history from the state. He requested the bond cancellation. He requested every public filing attached to the company name. He copied his 2006 tie rod invoice, the 2014 footing receipt, the 2020 roof panel check, the county condition record, the insurance letter, and every payment statement from Corn Belt Community Bank for the previous 2 years. Then he mailed a complaint to the Iowa Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division and a second one to the State Banking Bureau. Certified, return receipt, stapled in order, no angry handwriting in the margin. No underlined threats, Just the kind of paper a careless office hates most. Paper that can stand up by itself. Nothing happened for 6 weeks. That is the part no one puts in stories because it is not satisfying. The envelope goes out. The mailbox stays empty. The bank keeps sending statements. The grass keeps growing. The cattle keep needing water. Eli fixed a broken float valve in the stock tank. He repaired 40 feet of wire along Nolan's fence after a storm dropped a cottonwood limb across it. He cut hay late because June rain would not quit. He limped harder by the end of every day and said less at supper than usual. And every morning that orange tag was still there, clicking on the east door like a little verdict. The setback came in July. Corn Belt sent a second notice. The $13,850 remained due. A $420 penalty had been added. The letter warned that failure to fund the reserve could trigger a broader collateral review. Those words meant something. A broader collateral review could change the loan terms. It could make his insurance more expensive. It could stop the renewal line he used to buy winter feed. It could turn one false report into a whole farm problem. For the first time, Eli folded the paper and did not file it immediately. He left it on the table. All evening, Nolan came by after dark with a coil of twine in one hand and bad advice in the other. "Take the short note," he said. "Pay it off over 2 years. You'll lose more fighting." Eli sat with the second notice under his palm. "You think they'll read your stack of paper?" Nolan asked. Eli looked toward the window, where the barn was only a black shape against the yard light. "I don't need them to read it because they like me. I need them to read it because it's true." Nolan did not have an answer for that. In August, a conservation technician named Mara Ellis came out for the watershed application. She was not there for the bank dispute. That mattered later. She was there to inspect drainage patterns, manure runoff, and the old hay barn's proximity to the creek. Mara wore mud boots, carried a tablet, and actually opened the east door. She walked the center bay. She photographed the footings. She counted the tie rods. She checked the posts with a level and asked who had done the bracing. Eli told her. She looked up into the rafters for a long time. Then she asked to see the bank summary. Eli handed it to her. Mara read 2 paragraphs and went still. "This says no interior cross-bracing was observed." Eli pointed upward. There were 6 steel tie rods crossing above them in plain sight. Mara looked back down at the page. "This also says exterior evaluation only." That was the line that changed the air in the barn, because the fee had been sold as a structural assessment. But the report had judged an interior structure without going inside. Mara did not give speeches. She did not promise anything. She wrote what she saw. She photographed what she saw. And when her county memo came back 2 weeks later, it used the only words Eli needed. No observed structural displacement requiring emergency reserve. Not pretty words. Better than pretty. Useful. The Attorney General's office answered on September 28. Investigators had confirmed that Summit Rural Risk Services had performed agricultural outbuilding assessments after its certificate expired. 11 Iowa farm properties had received bank-related risk charges tied to those assessments over a 22-month period. Corn Belt Community Bank was notified that the vendor reports could not be relied upon for escrow reserve enforcement unless supported by a valid independent inspection. The bank did not apologize. Banks rarely apologize in language a man can frame. They sent a corrected statement. The $13,850 reserve was reversed. The $420 penalty was removed. A line at the bottom said, "Vonder review pending." That was all. Marcy Lane called the next afternoon. Her voice was careful now. She said the bank appreciated Eli's patience. She said Corn Belt was revisiting its rural inspection contracts. She said she was glad the matter had reached a resolution. Eli listened. Then he asked her to mail the correction on bank letterhead. When it arrived, he punched 2 holes in the top, opened the red notebook to the first Sunday in October, and filed it behind the rainfall entry, 0.8 inches. North pasture still soft. Bank reserve reversed. He wrote those 3 things in the same pencil. No exclamation point, no victory word, just record. 2 weeks later, Nolan came over with a folder he had not wanted anyone to see. It held the machine shed assessment he had paid the year before. Eli checked the vendor number with him at the kitchen table. That company was still licensed. Nolan's mouth tightened when the page came up clean. He had wanted to find the same lie and get his money back. Instead, he found something else. The habit. By winter, men at the co-op were asking for certificate numbers before they paid reserve fees. The insurance office put a note near its front desk reminding farm borrowers to request inspection credentials in writing. The county service center added a line to its handout about verifying third-party assessors. No one named it after Eli. He would have hated that anyway. The orange tag came down in November. Eli cut the zip tie with fencing pliers and threw the tag in the trash barrel beside the shop. Then he thought better of it, pulled it back out and taped it inside the back cover of the red notebook, not as a trophy, as a reminder. Official color is not the same thing as official truth. The watershed cost-share approval came in December, $5,750 toward runoff work on a barn now listed in the county file as structurally serviceable. Eli spent part of it on gravel, part on pipe, and part on a new gutter run along the east roof where the frost had made that wet ring around the tag. The barn did not become new. Old barns do not become new. They settle. They complain. They demand boards, bolts, patience, and a man willing to listen before the damage gets loud. But they can keep holding. And in March, when the snow finally pulled back from the lot, Eli stood on the porch with coffee going cold in both hands again. The east door was quiet. No plastic tapping, no orange tag, no official little sound telling the calves what to fear. Under the gutter, where new metal met old timber, 2 wrens were working grass into a gap between the boards. Eli watched them carry one piece at a time. He did not smile much. He did not need to. The paper had called the barn a risk. The barn kept holding weight, and sometimes that is the only answer that matters. Paper can name a thing. It cannot make it true.